All right. How are you guys? Uh, I'm doing fine, and I decided to record this video just to refresh to everyone the job and whenever else it got done to make my R32 a little bit more reliable and what I did before put it on the street. Why I say that? Well, out there is a lot of interest now around those vehicles, and when they come from overseas, some of them are already in a very good shape, some of them are not, but I'm not here complaining about that. Let's say then my suggestion is before even put it on the street, something has to be done. Common sense is the driver. Many of you already know what I will say, but let me put the list to you of what I did it with mine. Okay? So let's consider then the vehicle was not, that's a term that go very often nowadays, got not violated. Let's use that name, okay? The vehicle got not violated and is pretty much stock. So what I'm gonna do, what I can do, well, this is what I did, and I hope you guys will appreciate it because maybe it's gonna work also for you. Okay, number one, I replaced the radiator and the water pump. The radiator, because the OEM radiator, or whenever, even if it's not OEM radiator, doesn't have any way to be certified to be reliable at the time you turn in the key and enjoy the car. If something happened with the radiator, oh yeah, it's gonna leak a little bit. No, it's not the case. At the time you leak, you damage something sooner or later. At the time you leak, you damage, pressure drops and stuff like that. So consider please to replace the radiator. The water pump, same deal. Is the water pump a big job? Yes, it is. Kind of, okay. Water pump and thermostatic valve is kind of pinning the butt in the rb20det to be replaced because it requires some skills and it requires also some time. Right? And if you have, it's good for you. If you don't have it, can be a cost item. But anyway, water pump, same deal, same thing. You don't know what is the condition. It's 25 years old plus. Let's replace it. Okay, just say. Let's move forwards. Timing belt, tensioner. Those are things. Then doesn't matter how many miles or kilometers your car has, in my opinion, are not a reliable item, and they are vital for the good wealth of the engine. So they have to be somehow replaced even before put the car on the street. To me, it doesn't matter if they look good, it does not matter. I will recommend to replace those stuff and invest some money on it. This is the basic. Then what happened to my vehicle, then I noticed it while I was working on the engine or rebuilding some other stuff. I will share it. It may will help you somehow when the time is right for you to understand and decide yes or not. Okay, next, the water hoses. The water hoses was a big deal. The two main water hoses, the one that goes and come out from the radiator, they look okay on the outside, but then I noticed it. Then at the very first time you remove it and you test it, inside they were all cooked. They were all became kind of brittle and maybe less stiff. So replace it with silicone hoses right away is nothing wrong with it. Okay, if I have to go a little forwards, even the oil pump I had was functional. I replaced it with an N1 pump, and that's it. Same deal, same condition for a road application. Okay, that is what I'm thinking. Are essential things that you can replace before running the engine. The gentleman said, yeah, Dave, I know this is a list of things that I already have in my mind. I already have my budget when I buy the vehicle. So yes, I agree or I disagree whenever these I already know. So you make a video just for that? No, now I'm going into the details of what else is there. Then slowly driving the car for 3 years fails. It didn't compromise much. It was just an annoying thing to do. And I want to share with you. Staying linked to the cooling system, a couple of items became very threatening the vehicle. Okay? I have here, popped on the computer, a page from one of the major part supply out there. I hope I don't get in trouble for it, but in any way, I don't mention the name. If you find out by the picture, it's good for you. What happened is there are in the rb20det in more than one places steel tubing that are created to split or receive flow and saving to the company, Nissan in this case, manifolds, other extra hoses and stuff like that. Well, those steel hoses in my rb20, as already many knows already anyway, they fail. I found some leaks and some stuff, or sometimes on the floor and stuff like that. And when the time was right, I just fixed it right away. I did not wait anything because those are life-threatening things. When the coolant go down, you damage something. Rule of thumb. So there are two major spots where you have to keep your eyes on it. One is under the cold side. The cold side is the air intake, and there is a tubing that has 1, 2, 3, 4. It has 4 things happening in one, and that tubing is, let me say, I think it's a 14 or 16 millimeter ID with a braided, brass welded or somehow another hose. Then is a curved and another one, and a bracket. That tubing fail. So you better consider to find a manifold and something like that and replacing it as soon as possible. I'm gonna share in the picture. And one is receiving coolant return, I think, from the turbocharger. I don't know if he supplied the return, but there is a coolant passing into it coming back from the turbine housing. The other one is the one that is very famous in any way, then go behind the head, close to the firewall, and I think is a 6 or 8 millimeter OD, and are split. It is a steel tubing split in two. They say, well, if you don't touch it, it doesn't crack. No, it's not true. My one got untouched. It never got anything happen. That things start to leak after a while, and because his life was over, I open them up, I look inside, the braces start to be corroded by the old coolant or whatever else, and start to fail. So please consider those two items, nothing else, but consider those two items together with all the coolant hose, something that you want to address before it's too late, even before starting. How I made it, Dave? Okay, I got it. So what do you want me to do? To buy a new one? No. If you buy a new one, you're gonna face the same problem. Then it's hard to find it, and sometimes you don't even find it. My recommendation is use your common sense, use your imagination and skills, and create a derivation, a little block that has in a different place, somewhere else where you can see, where you can address it, 2 entry and 1 exit, respecting the same ID and the configuration. You should be good to go. Same thing with the other one. One more advice for you. Somebody won't be very happy to hear about that, but I have to tell you, I pay price for it. If you're looking online, there are different kit saying that they are kit designed to replace all the OEM hoses on the rb20 with these new silicone things. They are good hoses, designed maybe for it, but I think 3 out of the whole set did not match and 2 are missing. So be very careful when you're looking at those kits to count first your hose that you are removing from the engine and put it on a table, and then compare to the picture, because the picture is correct. What you buy is what you got. But what you see on your engine and you remove it and you have it on your table, then you realize that you are missing something. I want to warn you about that, because even sometimes the ID diameter and the clamps that come with it are garbage. So you cannot use those clamps, then they give it to you, even if you want to, even if you have to, because they don't shrink the hose around the coupler. They look fancy, they are goldy color, stuff like that. They are not doing. So what can you do? Well, in my case, I use some of the original Nissan. Sometimes I use those hose clamps with the screw. Knowledge there is than when I was doing. You know that when you're using those clamps, you have to wrap the outside of your silicone tubing with an intermediate some intermediate fiber or something, because at the time you are tightening the hose clamp, you are digging inside the silicone and cutting the tube. So plus every while you have to go back and tighten it a little more, because we know the reason. I know it's a long video, it's 11 minutes and a half already, I can see the number, but it's worth it. I don't want anybody to be in trouble with coolant, especially with coolant, especially with the rb20det that has those couple of spots and are very difficult to reach and very difficult to repair unless you address the item before and make it easy. How can you address the item before? Well, one day I'm going to the vehicle and gonna share with you what I did, but bottom line is, take your time, find some hose and something, then can replace that connection, make a little manifold, a derivative. Even if you had, I don't know, an extra quarter at the end of coolant, because you extending some hoses and stuff like that around your engine, it's not gonna hurt anything. Honestly, it's gonna be better if you have a little extra coolant displacement, because your hose are a little longer or looping around, stuff like that. Make sure to eliminate all the bubble of air and you should be good to go. The only one that was a little demanding to do, far than I remember again, was the one in return from the turbocharger, then go behind the engine. That one, yeah, a little challenging. Because it has to be turned in some places and protected against the heat. So, do I have any suggestion? So, Dave, do you have any suggestion what kind of hose I can use for the deal? Yes, I do. I did a lot of researches, and I find out that the Parker 801, remember this name, Parker 801 push lock hose, can do the job very well. It is coolant resistant, oil resistant, gasoline resistant. 1 + 1 = 2. If you can find it's cheap to buy online, you can buy it. The Parker 801 series is amazing hose, and it's cheap. It replaces everything. I mean, don't go in larger diameter, but for diameter, then go from example a quarter ID to 1/2 inch. You're good to go. Pressure rating, chemical resistance, and everything else, and temperature rating is pretty much matching an internal combustion engine if you stay away from heat sources. Now, before leaving, let's see which one was the hoses that I'm talking about, the tubing. Here we go. I hope it's visible. We take something you may gonna see. Okay, sorry about that, my bad. There we go. So this is the one. This is the one then goes behind the engine. Pinning the butt to remove this guy because it's between the firewall and the head. But this is the one. Another one here, this monster right there. Let's see if I can have you looking on it. See this monster? This monster is located underneath the air intake manifold. Is receiving the coolant from the turbocharger, and it goes back, and the heater, this is a monster. If you find a way to remove your air intake and take a look and create a block that has one entry, one exit, and a derivation, you're good to go. I remember then it took me a little bit of time having this guy here attached in the way to put the water back in. But I know that you guys can do that even better. So one is this monster right here, and one is that. Thank you. I hope it's good enough for you. These are worth it. 15 minutes conversation, gonna save you a lot of money, a lot of trouble. But you're gonna have to spend whatever. Have a nice day. R32 owner, GTST. A lot of commitment to make the vehicle running well. Have a nice day. Bye bye.